Welcome back to Mixed Coasters. My name's Anderson. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at Six Flags Great America and 5 things they can do to improve the park. So this is going to be more geared towards, what I call TLC kind of things, making the park look nice. And here's 5 things that I think they could improve, to make the park look nice. Let's get to it.
And you're out of here.
So in number 5, I've got something that people probably don't think of as important, but it is, and that is parking. So for those who don't know, there's the overflow parking lots that are to the right of the ticket booths for when you're paying for parking or whatever. It's to the right, and the concrete over there, it's chipping, there's potholes, it's hard, it's overgrown with plants. It just kind of hurts the guest experience when you're trying to leave the park. There's a long line, and then you just have to move over potholes and run over grass. It just doesn't look that good. So I think they could improve that just by repaving it to make it look just nicer, look more professional. Let's move on to item number 4, which is repainting the roller coasters. So there's not very many coasters that need a repaint. Some big ones that have received repaints recently, obviously Max Force is new. We're seeing V2 get a repaint. I believe X-Flight got a repaint at some point recently. It's also not too old. Wooden coasters like Viper and Goliath don't really need it, but there's a few coasters that do need a repaint. So first off, Raging Bull I don't think has gotten a repaint for a long time, and that coaster is right near the highway. I think its last repaint was in something like 2007. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but just looking my hardest to find where it was last painted, I believe is a while. So I think it would need a nice update, a nice repaint. Not change the colors or anything, just get a repaint. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think it's going to happen in the next few years that coaster should get it. Because again, it's near the highway. Another coaster that's in plain guest view is Superman Ultimate Flight, right by the entrance, and I would also say that one needs a repaint. Make it look fresh, make it look new. It always helps the park. Also, I think that American Eagle needs a repaint, but that coaster is either going to be removed, refurbished, something like that, so I expect that will get a repaint of some sort when it gets fixed up or whatever they do with that coaster. Let's move on to item number 3, which is food. So food isn't the biggest problem, but clearly the park has been doing some things to fix that. Last year, I believe they added something where Johnny Rockets is. I'm probably wrong. I think they added like a new hot dog stand or a bar or something. I believe it's in the No Coaster Con video, whenever that was, but I forget. Anyway, they've been working to improve food, but across the whole Six Flags chain, they kind of standardized what the food stuff is. So right now they're kind of working to get out of that and add some new selections, all that stuff. I personally do not think the food is a huge issue. I know that sounds crazy, but in my opinion, their pizza actually isn't that bad, which is kind of sad that I usually have that. But also, at Chopsticks, it wasn't horrible. I've had food at other Six Flags parks. Also, I feel like New England was probably worse than Great America. I feel like this park, the food that they're given isn't great, but they do a good job with it, and that's what matters. So I think their food's fine. Obviously, it's good to improve it, add some, uniqueness to it, make it kind of interesting, add some other options. Because, Chicago's a unique city. Like, let's show some of our unique food selections. Let's move on to number 2. So this is actually a much bigger issue than food for me, and that is merch selection. I've been to Great America many times actually, and this last time I stopped by the park. I was going to get a few rides, and then pick out some merch and leave. We stopped by the park. Lines are long, so I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just get the merch. I go in the merch store. I want to get something for Max Force specifically, so I go into that store. It's the newest ride. It should have the newest merch, the most updated stuff. Well, I go in there, and there's not really too much selection. There's not many options. They had a few Max Force shirts, but I think they don't have enough variety. They don't have enough styles, and the styles they do have, to me, don't appeal to me. I was looking for something, I guess you could say, more minimalist, or something that's not just like pop in your face. And I feel like all of their shirts were just kind of like, out there in different ways, and I didn't like any of them. And then, even Six Flags Great America t-shirts weren't that great, and so I look at the hats, and the hat selection's not great, and I feel like it's the same way around the park. I've looked at merch before. The only merch I've ever bought from Six Flags Great America is a t-shirt that says Six Flags Great America. It's like a patriotic shirt or something weird like that, and it's a nice shirt. But to be to the park many times and have only bought one shirt is a sign of their merch quality. So I think this park's need to update a lot of things. I would also like to see an online store. Six Flags has an online store, but it sells almost all DC merch, almost all merch that isn't specific to the rides at this park. And it's just not good merch on their store. So I'd like to see an updated online store and an updated in-park merch to help improve, all of that kind of stuff. Because I feel like that's something that often goes unnoticed. There's a lot of people who just don't even go to the stores to buy stuff. They just walk through and go ride more rides. But for me, I want to get something to take home and remember the park by. And a lot of times it's hard to find a good shirt. So let's move on to the next thing on the list and final thing. It's actually kind of two things. And it is, first off, touch-ups and landscaping. So the core of these two things is touch-ups in terms of paint and buildings, and also landscaping kind of around paint and around buildings. So first off, to start off with the paint, there's some issues with paint in my mind around the park. Like I talked about some coasters that need a repaint. I think there's a lot of buildings that need repaint, because when you walk around the park to some areas that people don't often visit, you'll find a lot of paint chipping and things that need fixing. And to me, the only work that Six Flags Great America does is something that they'll know to make money. So, for example, there's a few buildings in the Yukon Territory area that badly need a repaint. But behind them, they just built a fright maze. It's easily viewable in plain sight to guests who are right out on the midway. There's just open, exposed wood. Well, I feel like not only does that need a repaint, but the buildings that are right in front of it need a repaint. It's a bad look when you have a new building with fresh wood that's easily visible right next to a building that clearly needs a repaint and some updating. And so I think that this park needs to take the mindset that they're doing with the DC universe and apply it to the rest of the park. Repaint some coasters, repaint some rides, and repaint some buildings, which is the big thing for me. Touch-ups, just fix broken wooden things, fix broken facades, all that kind of stuff. You get that. And finally, landscaping there. This is a biggie. I realize the two things I'm mentioning here don't go together, but they're big items that I just felt like were the number one spot. Landscaping this park is kind of lackluster. At the front of the park, you've got the pond with some nice flowers, all that stuff. There's areas around the park that do look nice. But for the most part, Raging Bull's cute. It's just kind of like weeds and trees, and that's it. There's not very much flowers. There's not much landscaping, which I think is a very important part of theme parks. You go to Cedar Point, you're walking down their central midway. There's almost too many flowers. It's almost like they took up too much of the midway. And I actually prefer them to cram us all together and then be able to look at these beautiful flowers that they put up, rather than have this spread out midway with nothing in the middle. And even on the sides, there's not too much going on. So I think for Six Flags Great America specifically, they need to take some areas of the park, spruce them up, and then add some flowers, add some trees, and add some bushes, and just spruce up the park in the green kind of aspects, as well as the traditional, building kind of aspects. So that's my number one seed. This is a very long video, but I think this is a park that is just a really top Six Flags park, and I think really with the top three parks, and really every Six Flags park, they need some updating. And so I think these 5 items, you could count it 6, I guess, really do need to be done to help make the park a better park. And I think with these updates, if obviously I haven't, but if the other parks stay stagnant, this park with the could become number 1 if it comes down to park experience. And so I think park experience is just as important as a lot of the rides, because it is about your experience at the park and not about whether it has 20 roller coasters. Anyway, put your thoughts down below. This was, again, long video. Thank you for watching it if you made it to the end, and I will see you guys next time here on Midwest Coasters. Goodbye.